and every play action that's in, there's a lot of time that is devoted towards the detail of the play, right? The talents of the players make the play go, and then the detail lets the play really shine. And so, man, they really worked hard on that. As far as the sets, DeAndre is a special back in the sense that he can line up different places and be an issue to the defense at different places where he lines up, whether that's in the backfield with another back, whether that's in the backfield with himself, whether that's in the backfield with like Devontae, which we had this week, or whether that's in the slot or outside. And so that just makes him harder to defend and more of a problem. And that's, those are some of the things we've used in the past and last week to, just to help our guys make plays.
Why was that the perfect time for Brian to call that?
Because it worked. Sometimes you're going to call plays. No, in that particular set, without getting too much into that, Jeff, there were some plays that were set up prior to and that meshed well, whether that's the week before, 2 weeks before, earlier in the game. You're looking for things like that. So, you're looking for, is there a motion that shows that play earlier in the game or earlier in that you've seen on another team run? How does that look? And then you kind of trying to piece that together based off of what that looks. That doesn't mean you can't come out and start with that play. It's just, Brian did a great job of calling that play in that particular time. And I think Brian's done a phenomenal job of calling the game. I really feel like we haven't missed, obviously Shane did an unbelievable job all last year, but I don't feel like we've missed a beat on offense. We've been in a good groove, and Brian has just done a great job of leading this group, have done a great job of calling the game, adjusting in the game. I just think he's done a top-notch job, and that was an example of that.
I can ask about the details of a different play, the interception, not to allocate blame, but just to understand where the disconnect is. What are the teaching points on that, and why? What leads to them not being on the same page there?
Yeah, that's going to happen at some times. We give our guys freedom. There's when you put a playbook page up, this is what it's supposed to look like. There's route discipline that's and detail that goes with that, but we also give them freedom. So it's not a thing where it's like you have to run it this way every single time, because then you're creating robots. So there's freedom in it, and sometimes when you beat a guy over the top and you have a clear lane to go vertically, there's a time to put your hand up and do that, and then there's a time not to. On that particular case, it got us, slight miscommunication on that. But you're going to have some of those when you get your freedom. You give the guys freedom to make plays like that. And so, obviously, what we see, those are very less obvious when they go for huge plays, right? They may score a touchdown, but you may not have known that he broke his route off or did something different on the route. Obviously, very, very different scenario when it leads to an interception because you could see the disconnect there. And so, that's just us, and I always take that. Like, that's just us as coaches being able to communicate when it's okay, when it's not okay, even more detailed on our end as coaches to make sure that we know exactly. Our job as coaches is to make sure that the job description is very clear on everything. And so, in that particular one, we probably didn't want that to happen, but I got to be clear about that.
Nick, Julio was on the field for twice as many snaps as he had played in any game before for you guys. How much of that is him kind of doing some stuff that Dallas would normally do? It looked like, certainly in some pass routes, that there were plays that looked familiar if 88 was out there.
Yeah, some of it is that, with Dallas out there, it doesn't fall on just one person to take the place of Dallas Goedert. It's hard to replace a player with the play, with the style of play and the type of player that Dallas is. And so some of it is that, some of it is he's continuing to ramp up. And, obviously he didn't have training camp, he didn't have all those different things. And he's been here for a certain amount of time now where we feel better and better that he knows what, he really did pick it up really fast, but that he knows all the adjustments and every different thing like that, and that his body's ready to play there. So a little bit of supplementing Dallas, a little bit that he's ready to go more and more and more each week, and we'll see how that continues.
Are you finding that teams now are like really determined to take away AJ Brown? I mean, even with Dallas out now, more bracketing and what that means for guys like Devontae.
Yeah, and it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to do that when you have a player like Devontae on the other side. And so, for instance, the big third down conversion, the play before Devontae caught the go ball down to the slot go ball down to the 1 yard line, he had a big third down conversion. Well, what happened on that play? Well, they doubled AJ, right? They doubled AJ, and then and Devontae was able to create some single coverage with something that went down on that, and obviously that was a huge play, and so. That's tough to, we definitely see that, and we definitely, you plan for that, especially teams that have it in their pocket. Because there's so many great players in this league, you see that leading up to it, like, hey, well, they doubled whoever, right? It could be, you name a player, they doubled Jamar Chase or whatever it is. Well, then you make, just like anything, you make, educated guesses that, hey, they could do this to AJ as well. And then that just frees up our other guys. And so, like I said, I think the best example of that was on the third down conversion prior to Devontae's big catch of, the resources are going to AJ. Well, you put your resources in to stop one thing, and it's going to be hard to stop another thing. And so, and we've seen that a couple times throughout the year. Whether that just this week it happened to be Devontae, but there's been a couple where it's been DeAndre. There's been a couple where it's been Dallas, and Jalen's done a nice job of finding them in those scenarios and getting them the football.
Nick, you've added so many players.
The
last couple of years, you've added so
I'll come
many
to you.
players in the middle of the season. What's led to that being successful, and do you kind of like a template of when you bring a player in, how you're going to get them called up?
Yeah, sometimes the circumstances of how it happens is different, right? The need at the position because maybe of an injury. I think what Howie and his staff have done an unbelievable job of is not only getting good players that can help us, but good people that fit into the locker room. But that's also, right, and so we get these guys like Roby and Kevin Byard that have come in, Julio, that have come in, and like these are top-notch pros as far as players, but they're also really good teammates as well. And so that's that's Howie and his staff doing the homework of, hey, this is the right type of guy to bring in here right now, and where there's a need. And then make no mistake about it, it's a reflection of how our locker room it currently is, right? And where they can, they know these guys are coming in to help, and our goal just to win this week, and they open their arms to them. I mean, and accept them into the team. Those are the type of guys we have here. I mean, I think back, it's been, like you said, last year, Jake got hurt, Cam Dicker comes in, and the guys, their confidence that these guys had, that Cam was going to make a play, and he does, and to win the football game for us, right? And so, like, it's really a cool thing to see, because that to me is the definition of a team, right? Of what our locker room is like, and it's led by our captains and our players.
On Monday, you mentioned that. Did the noise level of the crowd contribute to pass protection problems in the first half? And then how did you rectify it in the second half?
Yeah, it definitely was loud there. That's a loud stadium, a rowdy stadium, and when it is loud like that, it makes it more challenging to communicate. And we do our best to simulate that as much as we can in practice, but there's sometimes you can't get those speakers outside as loud as it is in Arrowhead or in Lincoln Financial or wherever it may be. And so, there were various reasons, whether that was us putting the players in position to make plays, us, execution or communication error of what led to that. But everybody did a nice job of settling in and handling it in the second half, and obviously led to more production by the offense in the second half.
Nick, you were talking about Brian Johnson a minute ago. What do you like best about his play calling?
Yeah, I just think he's got a good feel. Like, Brian's not gonna just do something to do it. He's got a good feel and good flow for what's going on in the game, and it being able to adjust in the game. He's really smart situationally, and when I talk about situational football, these things pop up everywhere. Third down, red zone, 2 minute, backed up, third down and backed up, 4 minute, 4 minute backed up, 4 minute third down. Like, they're endless, and he's just done an unbelievable job in those scenarios of, the preparation that we put in for it. But, and we do all that preparation in that together. But then there's going to be an art to it of like, okay, well, this is what we planned on doing, but this is what the play requires right now because of the way the defense is. So I think he does a great job adjusting, does a great job in game, having feel for the situations, is going to do what we feel like is best to do to win that game. And that doesn't necessarily, that can mean run it a ton, it can mean throw it a ton, and that can be mixed. And so, again, just like I said, I just feel like, as you look at our statistics and what and the feel of games, I just think he's done a really good job, and probably hasn't been talked enough about of how good of a job he's done based off of, like, I think there was an expectation coming in like, we lost our coordinator, we're going to take a step back, and that's really not been the case. And we have the same record as we had last year, and to me, Brian deserves a lot of credit for that and should be being talked about more in that light of, man, this guy's doing a really good job.
Locker room's open. We could do a couple more in
Monday,
here.
you mentioned Jalen's check, just then on this interception, you said there's freedom. You mentioned. How would you describe his role in checks with the run game in that? How would you describe his role in that?
Yeah, I mean, again, he is responsible. Him and Jason are responsible to get us in and out of plays. Now, there are times where it's a call and run it run. There are times where he's going to have to think on the fly. There's times where it's going to be a check play. There's times where this happens and he's got to throw a screen out to the receiver to get us out of a run play. And so those are and I said this on Monday, there's about 4 to 5 plays a game that the quarterback has to make with his mind that really change the game. And to me, Jalen just continues to grow and excel in that area. For instance, like I said about the Devontae play of him getting to that, I mean, that was a game-changing play for us, and he made a great throw, made a great check, and Devontae made a great catch.
Any advantage going from Spags to McDermott, and at this point, do they have any similarities?
There's some similarities, yeah. So there's obviously we know their history and with Coach Johnson and everything like that. So there's definitely similarities in there. But like any coordinators, there's big differences too, right? And so thought the world of Spags. Think that Coach McDermott, I think very highly of him too, and the style and the product of defenses he's put on the field for multiple years that led to him getting the job, and now that with him calling it again in Buffalo. So definitely some similarities in some of their structures. And definitely some uniqueness that they have, that he has, separate from that challenge us as well.
And leading into Jalen, the called runs for Jalen, I know that he's going to say that he's good to go on those, but how often do you find yourself checking in with him, like health-wise, on those?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing all week at practice, right? We're seeing, he could tell us one thing. We're watching him at practice as well. So it is checking in with him, seeing how he's feeling, but it's also seeing how practice goes, right? You go into a game with plays that you intend on calling, and past experiences give you with those plays give you confidence to call them, but also practice reps. And what they look like in practice give you confidence to call them. And so those are all judged, a lot, especially how a guy's feeling in practice and how those look in practice.
But also
One more, folks.
Full speed in practice, right? And so
No,
we you're like, oh, he's got his legs today.
No, because we go pretty hard in practice. That is something that we pride ourselves in, that the tempo that we go and practice. And so, you know, I think that we have a pretty good feel for that going into the game.
Kyle Shanahan, a couple weeks ago on a national telecast, they were talking about, he got to the point where when they beat the Cowboys pretty good, that he felt like his team was really good and it was a mistake to think that, and he didn't really like the way he handled things. At this point where you're at 9-1 and you just beat the Chiefs, team to beat you, do you have to be worried of being too overconfident, making sure those guys aren't that?
I think there's a difference between confidence and like overconfident, cockiness, all those different, there's a difference in that. Like, it's good to have confidence going. It's good to believe in each other. It's good to believe in the team. But we also know that believing in ourselves and believing in this team is a product of the work that we put in, not only the past, but more so about the work we're going to put in this week to get ready for this game. And so I think there's a big power that there is in belief in each other. When you believe in somebody, it takes it takes the guy to another level. Coach to player, player to player, player to coach. And so that's a powerful thing. But we also know what goes into making that belief happen, and that's the work that you put in, week out. And so our focus every week is to make sure, just like coming into this year, how do you duplicate? The question was probably at the beginning of the year, or I know was, how do you duplicate what you did last year? Well, it's little steps. It's not going to be boom, all of a sudden this happens. It happens because of the work that you put in and walk through. The meeting detail that you put in, the intensity at practice, the commitment to getting better at core values.